Somewhere in Arizona, a house is quietly tearing itself apart because the ground underneath it can't hold together anymore. This is the story of 13 Arizona towns where the wells are drying up, the water tables are collapsing, and home values are sliding right alongside them. These places were marketed as the future. Turns out the future has a serious water problem. Before we get into it, you're about to see a desert community where the earth split open into a crack nearly 2 miles long. You're going to see a wealthy neighborhood near Scottsdale that got its water shut off entirely on New Year's Day. And you're going to see a small Route 66 town where out-of-state investors drilled almost 200 wells to grow nut orchards while local families watch their own taps run dry. If you own property in Arizona or you're thinking about buying there, stick around. Subscribe now because you'll want this information before you make a decision that could cost you everything. Let's start the countdown. Number 13. Sierra Vista. Tucked in the southeast corner of the state near the San Pedro River, this town looks like the calmest entry on the whole list. Retirees, quiet streets, a military base nearby. That calm is deceptive. Decades of pumping have drawn down groundwater faster than the river can recharge it, and every new subdivision adds another straw to an already shrinking supply. Home prices here have barely moved, sitting flat in the high $200,000. That flatness isn't stability, it's a market holding its breath. Number 12. Sun City. The original Arizona retirement community. Golf carts, palm trees, thousands of single-story homes. Prices have dropped toward the low $260,000. Down roughly 7.5% in a year, with inventory piling up to nearly 7 months of unsold homes. Part of that is demographics, an aging population outpacing new buyers. But underneath every one of those green lawns is the same Phoenix area aquifer the state has already admitted can't fully support demand over the next century. Number 11. Coolidge. Sitting inside the Pinal Active Management Area, this farming town got hit when the state stopped issuing water adequacy certificates for new construction. Roughly half of home sellers here are now accepting below asking price, a market that leapt off the boom time diving board and noticed, mid-air, that the pool underneath might be draining. Number 10. Wickenburg. This old cowboy town draws from the Hassayampa Basin, a region the state has already flagged as short on water for future growth. The town has openly discussed a building moratorium tied to wastewater capacity. A hard ceiling on growth, not because people don't want to move there, but because the infrastructure can't take any more. Number 9. Lake Havasu City, home of the transplanted London Bridge, and a waterfront lifestyle that used to only get pricier. Home values have fallen around 7.5% in a year, with the broader region down close to 9% over 3 years. The irony, a town built entirely around water sits downstream of the Colorado River, a resource 7 states are currently fighting over, with reservoirs at historic lows. Number 8. Flagstaff. Proof that altitude doesn't buy immunity. Median home prices here recently fell to around $630,000, a drop of roughly 15% in a single year, in one of the state's most expensive markets. Some of that may be seasonal noise in a small market, and forecasts suggest a possible rebound. But the lesson holds, even the priciest mountain town isn't shielded from the same pressures hitting the desert floor. Number 7. Casa Grande. Sitting on the same groundwater shortfall that made national headlines, this town watched the state freeze new water certificates, then watched developers pivot hard into build-to-rent communities to sidestep the rules. Home prices have slipped 4 to 5%, with homes now sitting on the market close to 3 months. When the workaround becomes the business model, the shortage has stopped being a warning and started being policy. Number 6. Kingman. Since around 2014, out-of-state operations have drilled close to 200 wells into the Hualapai Valley to plant pistachio orchards, and today more than 99% of the farmland there is controlled by entities from outside the state. The valley is losing billions of gallons more water a year than nature replaces. Government projections show water levels could fall over 100 feet in coming decades. Prices in the broader Kingman-Havasu market have slid close to 9% over 3 years. One of the fastest-growing cities in the country, until the state modeled its groundwater and found millions of acre-feet of demand the aquifer simply can't meet over the next 100 years. Buckeye became a poster child for Arizona's 2023 decision to halt new subdivisions reliant solely on groundwater. Home values have since dropped more than 11% in a year, with inventory stacking up past 7 months. Number 4. Eloy. Decades of heavy pumping have caused the ground here to sink by as much as 19 feet since the 1940s. South of town, an earth fissure has opened nearly 2 miles long, 10 feet wide, and about 27 feet deep. Projections show the water table could fall by close to 1,000 feet over the coming century. Homes here now sit on the market for around 5 months at a time. Number 3. The city of Maricopa, a commuter town that boomed on affordability, sitting inside the same frozen groundwater zone as its neighbors. Average home values have fallen more than 8% in a year, median prices down to around $340,000, homes taking over 100 days to sell, and nearly half of all sellers accepting less than asking. Here, the water and the home values are falling in lockstep. Number 2. Willcox. Groundwater levels here have dropped more than 400 feet since the 1950s. Some residents have paid over $14,000 to deepen wells that still came up dry. The state has documented roughly 49 miles of earth fissures across the basin, and testimony describes ground subsidence of nearly 4 feet in just over a decade. One resident testified that her home split in half from uneven ground sinking beneath it, rendering it unsellable. At the end of 2024, the state formally designated Willcox a groundwater management area by direct order, the first time that's happened without a public vote. Number 1. Rio Verde Foothills. An unincorporated community of custom homes near Scottsdale that never had its own wells. For years, water was trucked in from neighboring Scottsdale. On January 1, 2023, facing its own Colorado River cuts, Scottsdale shut that supply off. Somewhere between 500 and 700 homes, roughly 1,000 people, were left without a legal water source overnight. Residents began hauling water in tanks, rationing showers, and in one case, installing a $14,000 rainwater harvesting system. It took a special state bill in mid-2023 to set up a temporary fix covering up to 750 households, a fix that only buys a few years before the problem resurfaces. So here's where I'll be straight with you. This isn't 2008. Most of these markets are cooling, not collapsing, down in the single digits or mid-teens, not wiped out. If you already own in a city with secured water rights, you're likely fine. And that's the real lesson here. Scottsdale, the same city that cut off Rio Verde, has secure water designation, and its home prices are still rising. Queen Creek saw the risk early and spent hundreds of millions locking up water rights, and it's booming. The cities that treated water as their most valuable asset are winning. The ones that treated it as an afterthought are on this list. So if you're considering a move to Arizona, or anywhere in the dry Southwest, don't just ask about the school district and the countertops. Ask where the water comes from. Ask if the supply is guaranteed for the next 100 years. Because out here, that's not a footnote. That's the only question that matters.